welcome to the show. This is it, the Hobnobbin with Slim Man podcast, and I am your host, Slim Man, the slimmest of all, Slim Papa, showstopper. And I thank you for listening. Thank you for spreading the word. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being such excellent people with excellent taste and good looking too, I might add. Today we're going to hear my chat with Deanna Bogart. She's a piano-playing saxtress. Wow, that's a stupid word, saxtress. Sorry, excuse me. Anyway, she plays piano, she plays the sax, and she sings, and she writes songs, and we're going to find out all about her and her story. But first, I got to tell you about some Slim shows that are coming up. On August the 27th, it's a Sunday. I'm playing at the Bernardo Winery in San Diego, California. I'm playing with an 18-piece big band. I'm doing all the Rat Pack stuff, all the Sinatra and Dino. The band is called the Ira B. Liss Big Band Machine. And it's going to be quite a show. It's a CD release party for the Young at Heart CD. So if you are anywhere near San Diego, California, on Sunday, August the 27th, come see Slim Man play with an 18-piece big band, and it's going to be a CD release party for the Young at Heart CD. Woo! What else on August the 30th? It's a Wednesday. The Slim Man Quartet is playing in Laguna Beach at the Festival of Arts. It's a wonderful, wonderful venue. Showtime is 5:30 p.m., just a couple of blocks from Laguna Beach. Yeah, we got the Slim Man Quartet going to be doing all your favorite Slim Man songs. That's Wednesday, August the 30th. I think showtime's at 5:30 p.m. On September the 7th, it's a Thursday. We're playing in Santa Rosa at the Montgomery Village Shopping Center. We've played there the last couple of years. It's a blast. It really is. Come on out and see Mambo and Greg Vale and the Slim Man and Dave Hawks and Tateng Katindig. We're going to be playing all of the Slim Man stuff, and that's Thursday, September 7th in Santa Rosa, the Montgomery Village Shopping Center. And then on Friday, September the 8th, we're going to Modesto, and his mama cried. We're playing in Modesto, California at the Luca Winery. It is a semi-private show. If you join the Luca Winery Wine Club, you get to come to the Big Slim Man show. All of the info on all of the Slim Man gigs is at slimman.com. And while you're there, do a little shop around, will you? Buy a Slim Man Cook's cookbook. She's just so nice. All right, let me tell you what's been happening around the Slim Shack. There's never a dull moment up in here. This past Monday, I was still in Carlsbad, California, right there on the coast of the Pacific Ocean. I was house and dog sitting for my amigos, and then my brother and his wife stopped by. It was their 35th wedding anniversary, and I told them I'd cook them whatever they wanted for dinner. I figured after 35 years, the least I could do was cook them dinner. Anyway, anybody who's been married for 35 years deserves like a Medal of Honor from the president or something. Something. That's quite an accomplishment, 35 years. To watch him and his wife be so stinking nice to each other, it's really kind of comforting. I mean, they've been through some horrible times. It hasn't been a stroll on the beach for them. But they stayed together through it all, and it's really touching their relationship. So, Monday morning, my brother and I went to a fish store right by the beach. They got all their seafood fresh off the boats. We went to see what they had, and they had some beautiful halibut. And I told my brother about how I'd cooked it last week, and that's what he and his wife wanted for their big 35th anniversary dinner. So we bought some halibut. We went back to the shack, dropped off the fish, picked up his wife, and went to the beach. It was the first time in a long time that I've actually gone to a beach just to sit and relax and to stay off the computer, and she was just so nice. A day at the beach just lying around soaking up the sun. What fun. The Pacific Ocean is a beast. It's a lot wilder and colder than the Atlantic. The Pacific was named in the 1500s by Magellan. The name Pacific means peaceful. The Pacific covers a third of the world and holds about half of the world's water. I found out all this when I took a walk up to a bluff, and they had all this written in beautiful tile on the floor in a big cement circle overlooking the ocean. The view was stunning. It really was. After our little day at the beach, we went back to the shack, and I cooked the halibut with the white wine and lemon and capers. And boy, she was so nice. I made a little extra sauce and put it over some farfalle pasta, which is what they wanted as a side dish. And she was nice. She really was good. And anyway, it was nice to take the day off, spend it with my brother. We had fun. Yeah. The next day, I drove to Palm Springs, and here I is right now. I am looking at 3 boxes of coffee cups, a big box of aprons, and another huge box of CDs. You see, I got this podcast started by putting it up on Kickstarter. People made pledges, and I created rewards. So I had aprons made, cool canvas aprons with pockets, and I had the Hobnobbin with Slim Man logo put on the front, and they're actually pretty groovy. The coffee mugs are pretty cool. They're yellow, my favorite color, and they're tall and narrow, so they keep your coffee nice and warm. But the Hobnobbin with Slim Man logo on the front of the coffee cup, it kind of looks like a cartoon. They didn't quite capture the essence of my slimness. But they look good. They're cool. What else? I got the Slim Man Young at Heart CDs on Thursday, and they look great. The only problem was when I went to play one, I realized I didn't have a CD player. I guess I could have sat in the car and listened, but that's what it's come down to, right? I mean, who has CD players? My Mac doesn't have a disc drive. I bought my brother a small little portable CD player because he's old school, but I don't even have a CD player. I ended up playing the Young at Heart CD on an older computer, one that had a disc drive, and I listened to it on a small portable Bluetooth speaker that my friend Benicio gave me. CD sounded really good. I just stood there in the slim kitchen drinking a glass of chilled rosé, which is what I've been getting into these days. It's kind of nice when it's hot outside. So I just stood there and listened and had a glass. And I got to tell you, slim people, it's a finger-snapping, toe-tapping, rat-packing slice of niceness. Yeah, it sounded good. And that's it. Oh, wait, I want to tell you about the pesto chicken thighs I made. I usually keep a jar of Slim's Fantastic Pesto in the Frigidator, and I had a package of chicken thighs, and I rinsed them off and trimmed off, any of the funkiness. I left the skin on. I just trimmed off some of the fat. Then I put them in a baking dish. I drizzled a little olive oil over them, and then I sprinkled them with some salt and fresh cracked black pepper. And I roasted them in the oven, skin side down, for about 20 minutes at 400 degrees. Then I flipped them over, and I let them roast for another 10 minutes or so. I took them out of the oven and then turned the oven on to broil. I took some of my pesto sauce and spread a thin layer on each thigh and broiled them for a minute or two until the pesto just started to turn a nice golden brown. Then I took them out. Wow, she was so nice. I put the recipe up on the slimmancooks.com website, free for all slim people. And now let's dig into my chit-chat with Deanna Bogart. Her story is pretty compelling, slim people. One of the things that I found interesting about Deanna was that she didn't start playing piano until she was about 20 years old. And she didn't start playing sax until about 5 years later. Now, most musicians I know, they started young. But Deanna, she started a little later in life, and wow, I can tell you, she can really play. Look up some of her videos on YouTube. She plays a boogie-woogie piano that's pretty stinking impressive. I mean, she plays other stuff as well, but to watch her fingers fly all over the keys playing that stuff, wow. Anyway, our chat took place at her house in Palm Springs. We sat on the couch and talked for a while, and here it is, slim people. Hobnobbin with Slim Man and Deanna Bogart.
My first band I was in, I was barely 20 years old. I knew 3 chords on the piano, had never played a saxophone. I could sing harmony with anything, and I got a gig with a band called Cowboy Jazz on Rounder Records. They were crazy to hire me, and I got a one-way ticket from Hollywood to Maryland to join this road band. And we went everywhere for 6 years.
What were you playing? What instrument were you playing?
I could play. I knew 3 chords and could play boogie-woogie and C on piano, and that's it. But it was sort of like the Andrews Sisters meets Bob Wills meets the Grateful Dead.
I've heard of them, but
I'm not
familiar with their music.
Great band. We did wonderful 3-part harmonies. Barry Sless was the arranger guitar player who's up in Northern California playing with everybody, Pete Sears and all those guys. He's like the Jerry Garcia up there.
Cowboy Jazz, was it like country and jazz combined?
Was
or was
a
it
Western swing jazz jam band.
Yeah.
And I started writing in that band. I learned how to play in that band. And then when I was 25, 26, I picked up my first saxophone because I always wanted to play. And I was told in school that girls don't, and I wasn't allowed. So when I was 25, I bought my first tenor, thinking that's
you
the
were 25 when you
stupidest
started playing
thing
sax?
ever. Yeah, I thought, don't do it. And my head said, do it. And one of the best things I never listened to myself.
Yeah.
That little voice, that little whisper that says, "Nah, you're too old." No.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why the sax? Why not, the trombone or the? Was
I don't
it just
know.
like something?
I was
that
11, and I went to like 5 elementary schools and 3 high schools all over the place.
Was it because you're a problem child or army brat?
No doubt, divorce brat.
Right.
And they said, "Who wants to be in the band?" And I said, "Me." And they said, "What do you want to play?" And I said saxophone, and nobody knew why, including me. And they said, "No, girls can't play saxophone." They gave me a clarinet, and I wouldn't play it, and was mad at the clarinet for 30 years. Now I have 2, and so I didn't. But I just loved it. But I could play. I intuited music without understanding it. I couldn't be taught to read. I was the other kid, But I could always sing and play guitar and get myself out of trouble and be the not hot new girl at school and make friends,
So you were just teaching yourself by ear? Were you taking private lessons? Were you just sitting down with Hendrix records? Were you listening to Pine Top Perkins?
None of that happened till I was about 20 years old. I mean, I heard stuff. My mom played a lot of different stuff, from Pete Seeger to Muddy Waters to what's his name? Rock Around the Clock, Bill Haley, things like that, Ella Fitzgerald. So I did hear different stuff. And then when I was about 16, 17, I found Ella, I found the Meters, I started Stevie Wonder, I started finding different people like that. And then I moved to Hollywood and was just playing guitar and singing harmonies and getting little jobs. I was 17 years old. I left.
So you moved from where?
Phoenix.
Phoenix to Hollywood.
To LA when I was 17, yeah. And made one of my friends named Marty Rifkin, who's now a great producer in LA and played all the pedal steel with Bruce Springsteen and all that. Anyway, he connected me with Barry Sless from Maryland. They were looking for a young woman that could sing harmony. And music just kept coming to me, and I finally just surrendered. So when I joined Cowboy Jazz, I thought, well, wow, music has just always been getting me in or out of trouble, but it always shows up. Maybe I should see if I could actually do something with this.
At 20.
And went on the road. I was with them for 6 years. We played with Commander Cody and Riders in the Sky and Asleep at the Wheel and Roy Orbison, just all kinds of stuff. It was amazing, and everybody was great, and I was just hanging on, but I could sing harmony. And to this day, doing vocal harmonies and being horn section is probably my favorite things to do, and strengths to write.
So when did you strike out on your own? I mean, how did you?
I didn't intend to. I didn't intend any of this. I just was trying to navigate the turbulent waters of my childhood, my flavor, and all that kind of stuff. And
what was so turbulent? Was it your home life, school life?
It was difficult. Home life. It was difficult.
Difficult in what way? Folks breaking up and.
Yeah, people that weren't able to act like their better selves.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
Right.
Yeah, it was just tough. It was tough. And I have, a couple of siblings. I have, 4 sisters, 3 stepsisters. So.
And are any of them involved in music?
Yeah, nobody really knows where I came from. I think I was 30 before somebody realized that this was no longer a phase. So Cowboy Jazz, we sort of imploded. There was a lot of partying and drugs and all kinds of crazy things back then, as we know.
Not me.
And anyway, so the band imploded, and there was a 5-week gig down in the Keys that we were supposed to do, and the band just imploded terribly, finally, after a couple of years. My daughter's dad, Nick, who was being the road manager at the time, said, Key West Club called them and said that we can't come down and do the 5 weeks. The band imploded. And he said, they said, well, why doesn't Deanna come down and lead the band? And he goes, well, she's never done that. And he goes, well, we don't care. So he said, okay, she'll do it. And called me wherever I was. You. And I said, no.
Can't do it.
That's 5 sets a night, 6 nights a week.
That's a lot of work.
In the Keys, outside. And I'm like, I can't do that. He goes, well, I already hired people. They're going to drive down in a van and meet you in Miami. I was in Phoenix with a family situation, and I flew there. And we start at Tobacco Road. We called it, there's 4 of us. We called it the Bogart 5, Phive. And we start at Tobacco Road. And
what's Tobacco Road? Is that a club?
It was a club that was famous in downtown Miami that was there for 40, 50 years. And it was like an all-night club. You could be the 6 to 10 shift. You could be the 10 to 2 shift. You could be the midnight to 5 shift, which, of course, I always ended up on that one, which was kind of cool because people would come in late night like other musicians and stuff. And so we did that gig. And the second set, I went upstairs to play, and the guitar player that we had hired got sick and took a cab and went back to the hotel. So it's like crash course in band leading and making the gig work. And it was so long ago, Slim. And I think about it now, how I weathered that is pretty funny.
How many sets were you doing in Miami?
About 4 or 5.
Like 440s, 450s?
So, and I'm trying to call tunes. But even from that point, I wasn't using a set list, and I was doing them on the fly. And the guys just had to follow me. And
so you're just winging it in Tobacco Road in Miami?
Yeah, and then we went down to the Keys, Marathon, Holiday Isle, High Holiday Isle, and that's where I learned 6 nights a week, 5 weeks. And boy, did I learn how to lead a band on stage, started to learn how to be a band leader. That takes a number of years, and no one does a class on that, which is too bad because band leading is a whole other world. And
what are you playing? Are you playing piano and sax and singing?
Back then,
yeah,
I was on piano and singing and arranging it on the fly. I had my horn back by then because that was 1988. Right before that happened, it was the Super Bowl. It was
Doug
1988,
Williams?
and the Super Bowl was in Denver. It was in San Diego.
Okay.
And
you're down in the Keys?
And if I come back up, and again, my daughter's dad, Nick, signs me up to audition. They want 88 piano players to play with Chubby Checker on the Super Bowl in 1988.
They want 88 piano players to play with...
88 pianos, 44 black grand pianos, and 44 white pianos.
To play with Chubby Checker?
Yeah, and do like a boogie-woogie Grieg's concerto thing. So... Christmas
hey, hon,
Eve.
I got a gig for you.
Right.
You're not going to believe it.
So Christmas Eve, this is all happening at the same time. And he gets me an audition. Christmas Eve, we drive in the snow from Baltimore up. I've just come back from doing this gig.
In the Keys.
Yeah. Come back. Now what am I going to do? Anyway, we drive up to do this thing. I can't read. They're putting all this music in front of me. They're sending all the music. I can't read any of that. But I could play boogie-woogie. So I kind of fudged through the da 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 like that, and then I did the boogie woogie stuff. And they said, "Well, you're hired. You might be an alternate, but you're hired because you can do that, and you're the only one from D.C., and D.C. is in the Super Bowl." I'm like, "All right." So I fly to San Diego, and start going to rehearsals. And there's this brilliant classical player that's there's a couple of them, but one of them that's in charge of everybody. And there's rooms and rooms in the San Diego University with all these keyboards, and I'm hiding in the back because everybody's reading, and I'm reading with my ears.
Right.
You know, I read better now, but so he comes back and he goes, play that. And I'm playing, and he goes, no, play this. And he points to it. And I went, I don't know what that is. And he goes, well, then you can't be here. And I'm like, okay. So another guy comes in who's the main classical guy, and he hears what's going on. He goes, well, finish the day. And I went, all right. And we're playing away, everybody. There's like 30 of us in there in the class that particular time. And at the end, he goes, I need to pick a few people to coach the alternates. There's 4 alternates, 88. There's 92 of us. And he goes, I'm picking the alternates. And the other guy's still standing there, you know, and because I've been fired. And he calls the first 3 people that are going to be alternate coaches. And all of them, you know, read well, do good, this, that. And then he calls the 4th person, and he calls my name. And I'm like, what's going on? And the other guy is just mortified.
The classical guy?
The other guy.
Oh.
This is a classical guy too,
Right.
but he wanted everything perfect. And this other classical guy who's amazing, and his wife, they're both amazing players. They said, yeah, come on up. You're the 4th alternate. And I just looked at him, and I looked at the other guy, and he goes, and I'm going to tell you all why. And he said, because when you're so stringent and so detailed where you are, the people that learn differently, it doesn't work. But the people that can say, wait a minute, try this or do this, or let's try it your way. And see, maybe you won't get it perfect, but you'll get it in a way that's all your own. And so that's why you need to be with one of them. Something good will happen, whatever it is. And it taught me a lot that was valued. You know what I mean?
So what happened?
So I was one of the 88, and so I left. I was going back and forth from San Diego to my sister's apartment in LA every other day, which is just a joy.
Oh, yeah.
And so the family that I was being the coach for, they just adopted me and took me into their house for 4 nights while
And
I
you
was
played-
coaching him. And then we went and we did, he was still an alternate, and I was part of the 88 on the field.
So there's like 44 white pianos and 44... Did they have 44
Black
white
piano.
people and 44 black people?
No, they
done it that
didn't.
way?
They didn't.
And
They
Chubby
didn't.
Checker was...
Yeah, we started with
Why him?
the Grieg Concerto and a boogie-woogie, and then it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. And then
Doo-bap-a-doo,
Chubby
bap-a-doo.
Checker comes out, and he starts doing the twist, and we're all playing, and it was like a whole big thing that was worked out. It was wonderful.
What happened after the Super Bowl? I mean, where do you go from there? Like,
One of the guys that I sat next to at the Super Bowl practice room connected me with a promoter in Germany who called me and said, I want to bring you over for 5 weeks. And I said, okay.
but what
Everything's scary. Everything amazing is on the other side of fear. And I'm probably the bravest scaredy cat ever. But
everything amazing is on the other side of fear. What, do you have that
Everybody.
tattooed on your
Everybody.
forearm or something?
I
That's a
don't
good
know.
saying. Is that a song?
It's so true. And
Is that a song that you wrote? Everything
No.
amazing is on the other side of fear?
no.
Everything amazing's on the other side of fear.
But it's so true, and it's so scary, and it's so worth it. And
But wait a second.
I can validate it now because now I'm much older, and we all have our patterns. And I look at like every time I did something that was scary, get on a bus at 17 because things were tough at home. Scary, all these things that were scary. And today, you get a call. I got a call yesterday. Oh, I'm scared, but I'm going to do it anyway because something amazing always happens.
And now, how about a word from our sponsors? First of all, our biggest sponsor so far has been me. That's right. Gotta remind you, Slim people, you can go to the website and order some stuff. We've got cookbooks and bona fide t-shirts, and shipping is always free. take a stroll around the slimman.com website and see what we got. All right, are you looking to buy or sell a home in the Palm Springs area? Well, are you? Sure, it gets a little hot here in the summertime, the summertime. But that didn't stop Leonardo DiCaprio from buying a home out here, or Johnny Depp. And Slim Man lives here too. Leonardo, Johnny, and Slim. We should start a band. Anyway, if you want to buy or sell a home, I suggest you reach out to Cindy Guzet. She's with Berkshire Hathaway. They're a good company, and she's been living in the Palm Springs area for the past 20 years or so. She knows the real estate market like nobody else. She's got years of experience, and she's the go-to gal if you're looking for a condo or a house or a vacation home. So no matter what your real estate needs are, you need to reach out to Cindy Guzet. Give her a call, 760-485-2505, or send her an email at cindy.guzet@outlook.com. That's 760-485-2505 or cindy.guzet@outlook.com. Another one of our sponsors here at Hobnobbin with Slim Man is the Foundation for International Aid to Animals, helping animals by helping people care for them. The FIAA is a nonprofit family foundation based right here in the U.S. of A. The FIAA has pioneered sterilization and treatment programs for homeless and sheltered dogs, and it also helps people with limited resources treat and care for their pets. So check out their website, aidtoanimals.org. You can find out about all the great work they're doing for abused and neglected animals all around the world. They give support to wildlife rescues, sanctuaries, and reintroduction programs. They've also funded documentaries to bring attention to the problems of homeless and unprotected animals. And it's a real inspiration to see an organization that cares so much, that does so much to help. And if you get inspired, there's a donate button. Go to aidtoanimals.org and check them out and give a little something for the unprotected and homeless animals. And we have a new sponsor, Slim People, Matzenbacher's Liftoff. They have spot removing products, green, environmentally friendly spot removing products that are pretty amazing. I know the founder. He's a chemist, a real life chemist that goes by the name of The Wizard. And true story, a couple of years ago, someone had given me a bottle of olive oil in California. And after I flew back to Balmer, Maryland, I opened up the black leather bag that my mom had given me for Christmas, and the bottle of olive oil had broken open and spilled all over everything. Now that black bag, it was my favorite. It still is. And it looked like it was ruined. So I called the wizard, in the middle of the night, and he told me which spot remover to use, and I put it on, put it outside to dry, and the next day, every single olive oil stain was gone. Like magic, really. I guess that's why they call him the Wizard. So check out Matzenbacher's Liftoff. It's available at Ace Hardware and Home Depot. Check out their little 3-bottle sampler. It comes in handy after you've poured red wine all over your white shirt. Matzenbacher's Liftoff. Go to the website, liftoffinc.com, or call 800-346-1633. Now, let's get back to my chat with Deanna Bogart. So your last record was what, 2012, 2014?
The last record? I think it was the one, Just a Wish, in New Orleans. That was 2014, I think.
Right. In New Orleans you recorded it?
Yeah, at Dockside down in...
I don't know that.
It was like 2 hours from New Orleans. Went to New Orleans, went to Atlanta first and did a gig because some of the guys on the session were going to be on it. And I didn't really know anyone. So it was Charlie Wooten on the bass. Uh-huh. And then we went to New Orleans.
Charlie Wooten or Victor Wooten?
Charlie.
Oh.
I know both, but Charlie.
Okay.
And Charlie was co-producer on the record with me and a few others. and went to New Orleans, played a little bit sat in with Bonorama and people like that, and then we went out to Dockside and did the record there. And Big D, Derwin Perkins on guitar, and Terrence Houston on drums. All these people. I brought Scott down, Ambush, because I needed some people from my musical lineage world.
Right.
And wrote songs down there and brought my snippets. And it's interesting in New Orleans because people would drive 2 hours, musicians, just to be there, not to ask to be on the gig. They just like to go where there's music. And it's me, so I'm like, well, if there's 3 drummers here, it seems like everybody should play on at least one song, like all at the same time. So there were tunes with Scott and Charlie on 2 basses, and there was 3 drums on a tune, and it was a really interesting, wonderful, unusual situation for me. And I had just moved across the country, so it was a whirlwind of what have I done? I changed.
How
my
long
life.
were you in the studio? I mean,
we were there for about 4 days, 4 or 5 days.
4 days? Yeah. That's it?
Yeah, we slept there. It was on what was the name of the levee? It was beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful out there. Yeah.
And so
sometimes it was all night.
4 days. You just banged it out,
nights,
huh?
Yeah.
Now you can't be writing songs in a studio.
Yeah. Well, I have snippets.
Snippets. Explain the snippets. Are they like one
it
measure?
Might be,
Are they like 20
measures? It might
measures?
be a chorus. It might be a hook
title,
that I know works. It's half a tune, but it doesn't have a bridge yet because I can't write anything yet that's worthy of it. I'm actually trying to get my brain to wrap around maybe what if I actually wrote the songs before I go to the studio. I'm actually trying to get my brain.
See, you're out there on the tightrope. I can't do that. I can't do that.
It's pretty funny. Like, there's always a song that is born on the last day because I've told everybody I have it, but I don't.
Yeah.
So the 11th Hour Blues, it ended up being the title of that record.
I saw that.
Hour. I wrote that at 5 o'clock in the morning of the last day when I told everybody that, oh yeah, wait, I have one more. I'll show it to you tomorrow. And I didn't have one.
Yeah.
I got up at 5 in the morning with a cup of coffee and a candle at the piano. And I went,
and a candle. Oh, you sexy devil, yeah.
What am I going to do? I'm freaking out. I can't sleep. I'm putting myself through this horrible mental psychopathic thing that I do all the time. And then I go, the 11th Hour Blues, kind of gotta leave me kind of low. Left it up to me to choose. I went and I let you go.
Yeah.
Wrote the rest of it in the car on the way. When we were done with Just a Wish Away, and I went to Denver because that's where it was being mixed. And at the last day, 2 days before, with the last day of mixing or something, this snippet that I could never finish for years, I'm talking 30 years, this one snippet kept going through my head. I would try nothing. You just got to wait sometimes. And I said, this one wants to be born. And they said, we can't. We're mixing. I said, it wants to be born. Can't. Mixing. Stayed up all night. I know, right? So all night I'm on somebody's spare keyboard. There's not even a keyboard in that where they're mixing. I borrowed this keyboard. It's snowing. It's in Denver. The producer, Joe Michaels, who was great, but I was making him nuts, and he goes, I'm leaving you and Josh, the engineer, do that song, and I'll be back in 2 hours. and left. But he honored that. And I said, I can't help it. It has to. And I did it solo piano vocal. And it was a song called The Back and Forth Kid.
The Back and Forth Kid?
Yeah. It was basically what it feels like, without vilifying anybody, on either side when you're in a difficult back and forth family situation. And I get a lot of interesting comments and emails and people coming up to me about that song. In many ways since then.
Like
and I
they
appreciate
feel
that.
the
That's
connection
nice.
of like being a back and forth kid, and they write you and
or
say,
they're a parent and they hadn't thought about those things, and now that helped them with their kids now.
Yeah, that's tough to write songs like that. You know what I mean?
It is. It depends on whose hands and whose hearts, because some people you say, I'm just depressed, and other people you say, wow, that's beautiful, and it's making me think.
Yeah,
and that's what you would want.
Like, do you always
have it for yourself?
Do you always have a producer producing your stuff, or do you produce your own stuff?
The last couple of projects I produced, I started producing for other people, and I found that I loved it.
You produce other people?
Mm-hmm. I have not many, but I have a few.
Now, when you go out and tour, are you using the same band, like in England or in France or in Norway or in?
Well, they're different
Uzbekistan?
situations.
Are you playing with your band or are you playing
In some
with
places,
house
yes.
band?
In some places, no. In some places, a put together band. Sometimes it's in the UK, I'm doing a 2-piano show with Patty Milner, who's an incredible musician from England, and he's the musical director for Tom Jones, and he does boogie-woogie, Dave Brubeck to jazz. I mean, he's just one of those kind of players. We're doing a 2-piano thing. I have a lot of work to do. I have to think about that one a lot. And when I go to Norway, it's a special guest with somebody else's band who's from there. And so I've sent them a number of tunes.
You playing sax or piano or both?
Both. And sing, and I'll add harmonies to their stuff if they want, and play and all that. I like becoming a part of other bands.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that.
It's fun to bring different people into the fold. You know? Like when you
It's
play
a different
here,
flavor. It's like painting with different colors.
I know. When you play here in Palm Springs, what do you do?
Well, I've met so many wonderful musicians in the desert and around.
How did you land here in Palm Springs?
My dad was here, and he was alone. We lost our stepmom unexpectedly about 10 years ago. And I'd been east for about 30 years. And after Alex's dad and I parted ways, very amicably, he's coming for her graduation this weekend with Alex's stepmom, and they're staying here with me. And
your ex-husband is staying with you here?
Man, we got a kid. We're family forever. So I moved out here to be near my dad. And I started getting gigs around here and in San Diego and in LA and Northern California. People found out that I was on this coast. And I love it here. I really do. And then my daughter came to visit for 2 weeks and never left. And now she graduates college this weekend.
Is this the daughter that I met at Woody's that was waitressing?
Yeah.
That was when I saw you.
That was new. She had just gotten here. She'd only been here maybe a month,
and
couple
is your
weeks.
Dad still around?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
He's here. And he still comes to the gigs when I have him, and we, go out to eat. And
was it the first time I met you? Was that in Nashville? Because I heard it. Remember you were in that studio? Was it Sun Studio? You were doing a session? That studio, no exaggeration, I was living with the vice president of Disney Music Nashville. It was a block, one block exactly from
serious?
My house.
That's the first time I'd ever been there.
I walked there. I used to go to the Buy Right, the little grocery store there. I actually saw Robert Plant in there.
That's quite the studio.
Yeah, no, not in the studio, in the grocery store.
In the grocery, that's even better.
There was like some Miller High Life, like a 12-pack of beer on the thing. I don't know if it was his or the guys behind him. I'm like, hey, Robert Plant, I know who you are. I saw you play, in Merriweather when you opened up for The Who, and we had a little conversation. And then I realized that he was playing in that studio. That's where he did the Alison Krauss records, right? And
did he do them there? I think that's exactly right. I do remember that.
So how did that session go with you in Nashville?
So I was down for like 2 or 3 tunes, and then they decided that I should just stay and do the record. And then they said, come on out and be in the picture. And I said, no, I don't want to be on the picture. I'm learning these tunes for the first time. And what was the song? High-heeled sneakers, men in high-heeled sneakers.
Yeah.
What's that called?
I don't know.
The Winwood tune.
Yeah. The low spark of high-heeled boys?
Yes. They said,
men in high-heeled sneakers.
This is what they did to me.
The low spark of high-heeled boys.
This is what they did to me. After I finished all the piano tracks and everything, they said, we're done. We have 1 more hour. It's 2 a.m. Take your horn. Go in there. They said, you're going to have to play through this tune on your horn.
Did they have charts in Nashville when you were doing a session in Nashville? No charts?
No.
You just kind of playing?
Yeah, I would say, hit me to if there's a hook. So when it comes up, maybe I'll be able to catch it,
Right. What's the next recording project? When are you going to take all your snippets?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how to pull this one together. I was thinking August, but I don't think I'll be able to financially, not creatively.
But what do you mean? So you're financing your own?
Well, usually something comes along for all of my 10, 11 records that were of help to me.
So you mean outside investors come along, or
or somebody comes along and says, "Here, let's get you started,"
Is that scary for you?
I know that it works for
Well,
a
you like
lot
to
of
walk
people.
you like to walk on a tightrope.
That's not a tightrope for
Yeah,
me.
it is.
That's, to
It's
me,
nerve-wracking.
that's really, I'm not comfortable with the thought of it. I'm not sure if it's
I
because
know.
I'm not comfortable asking people for things, or because if enough people don't want to support, then I'll feel like the biggest loser in the world. I don't
Yeah.
really know which way,
I know.
where my psyche is going.
Yeah, I know. I do the same
But
thing.
it's a risk that I'm not willing to take. I'm not comfortable asking though, and
At some point, you're going to have
I
to ask
know.
somebody.
I
You just
know.
gotta, you're going to have to go
No, I
to a
don't
record
wanna.
company, aren't? I mean, are you looking for are you going to go to Blind Pig and say, "Hey, I got some snippets."
It'll show up. You do due diligence, and things do show up.
Yeah,
When
it's
the
true.
time is right. And when you manifest what you think, what you feel, you attract all that stuff. And manifesting, sometimes things show up in 30 seconds, and sometimes it takes 30 years.
Yeah.
But they still keep happening. So in my whatever less than whatever brain is kind of still going along the same path. I'm not trying to shoot myself in the foot.
No, I know what you mean. It's
to make sure that I'm being
because-
authentic with me.
Yeah,
And that's the most important thing is
it's
freedom,
tough.
self-freedom,
It's tough,
and
isn't it?
authenticity.
I know I need an agent, but I just want an agent to come to me and say, I think you're great, and I want to sign you up and put you on gigs all around the world. I'll be like, okay, I
If
can
you
do
have
that.
to beg for it and convince somebody,
No, what? Shouldn't they already be like, yeah? You
I
know
just
what I
won't.
mean?
I
know.
just won't.
I know it's tough, isn't it?
I can't.
You told me you have a garden. What are you growing out there? Marijuana?
Oh God, yes. And
Big,
matzo
huge
balls.
plants.
I got knishes growing over
Right.
there, and I got
the meatball
got
garden.
my marijuana over there, and I got a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Well, when I got off the road and for a week or so, and I was trying to do something otherwise, but I needed to be creative. It's either cooking or whatever we do. So I've never really been a gardener, so I decided to let me try to make the patio look kind of like a meditation Zen space.
So
it's
flowers and
Yeah, I mean you can look. It's nothing that's Architectural Digest is going to come looking for.
Right.
But it's been kind of nice. I like being out in the sun, and I bought this my Arnold Schwarzenegger, what I call it, my garden vacuum, where you put it on with the bag, and then you can vacuum all the leaves.
Yeah,
It's so much fun.
I never understood the leaf blower. If your bathroom's filthy and you've got hair everywhere, you're not going to take your blow dryer and blow it into a corner, right?
Thank you.
You're going to get a vacuum cleaner and vacuum all that stuff up. But out here, the leaf blowers is
Well,
you know
it's
what I
fun.
mean?
Then you're like Rambo going.
Do you cook at all?
I do like to cook. No,
What do you
like
cook? What do you mean?
you
I'm a
cook,
hack.
cook.
I'm not really. I'm just.
Really?
I'm
You
like
have a
meatball.
book?
I know, but I'm like meat. I mean, I love to cook.
I like meatballs. Did you bring any?
No, I will. I can. So what do you cook? Do you cook? I mean, are you just taking frozen veggie burgers? Have you lost your?
Is that what you perceive?
No,
What else do you perceive?
That's what I think about California. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, smoothies. I do smoothies.
I do like a good smoothie.
I do too.
I won't deny that.
I'm going nuts with smoothies now. I take fresh grated ginger and.
Well, one time I had to take a dish and I wanted to be healthy, so I made this quinoa casserole that was so horrible
Oh, quinoa. That's
I threw it away and wouldn't let anybody eat it.
And
And
the
somebody took it out and tasted it and agreed with me. But jalapeno mac and cheese from scratch, I can make that.
Really? Are you Mexican? Quinoa to me tastes like eating.
I'd like to be everything
me
if I had a
too.
choice.
I want to be all religions
I would
and all
be
nationalities.
everything and anything and.
But quinoa it's like eating kitty litter or something. It's just, you know what I
Well,
mean?
it depends what it's hidden in.
I don't know. It just doesn't have.
But I like healthy. I like
I do
eating
too.
salmon and good salads.
Yeah, me too.
And rice, and I like. Well, I'm gluten free, but I like pasta
Why gluten free?
because
Is there some?
I don't have whatever. What is it again? Celiac. The celiac thing. But basically,
Celiac?
I had a stomach every
I
morning.
love her celiac. She's got a great voice. I don't know what
Take
celiac
2 doses
is.
of celiac.
Right.
Um,
But you just don't. You just gluten
No, I
free
just had
because.
stomach problems my whole life, and then when I got old and I had to go have the obligatory scopathon, and
Nice.
they said, you might want to try dairy-free, gluten-free. You're fine, but looks a little whatever tender in there. So I decided to try that. And within 4 days, I didn't have the stomach ache I'd had
Really?
for 40 some years. And within about 2 months, I had lost all this weight without even trying.
That's cool.
And started running. And it kind of changed everything. My joints stopped hurting, everything. I kind of ran in and out of menopause. That probably wasn't what you wanted on your podcast.
No.
But I literally ran in and out of menopause, gluten-free, dairy-free.
Gluten-free, dairy-free. And that's you?
So I don't go to the hospital. It just gave me really bad pains. I just thought that's the way life was, and now it isn't. Unless I decide to cheat, which I fall off the dairy cart and the gluten cart. Often.
I was a vegetarian for a long time. Then I moved in with my uncle. He was like 85. And he was in perfect health, you know what I mean? And he was a doctor, or used to be a doctor. And he ate everything. You know
I think it's moderation.
You know, yeah. He's like, yeah. He was eating. He not all the time. He didn't have
little
he'd
of that.
make
Have fun.
roast of lamb and stuff. All this. I was like, yeah, some of this, some of that, some of pasta. You know, he ate sensibly, but yeah, I just right now I'm just kind of since I've been out here, I have been doing smoothies. You know.
What's your favorite? Like the green machine?
No, I do the smoothie. Like I do is like, it's so horrible. Like, the East Coasters are going to go. He's going to start wearing sandals and shorts. I do
wearing socks with your sandals.
Almond milk, organic cranberry juice, banana, berries, yogurt. I only do yogurt when I'm not singing because I don't like to do dairy when I'm singing because it always gets yakety yak. And I do fresh ground ginger.
That sounds perfect. That's what I needed.
Almond butter.
Unpleasant.
Yeah, it's great.
That sounds great.
And then like for lunch, I'm like a horse. I'm just like kind of grazing, picking here. I'll eat a carrot. You know what I mean?
I'm a grazer.
You know what I mean? And then when it comes time to dinner, that's when I kind of settle in, strap on a feed bag.
I could sit down at a nice Italian meal.
Yeah.
I do like that.
Yeah,
I do like that.
That's my favorite. Just because I grew up, that way. My grandmother, it was just like the big Italian meat sauce thing.
Big table with all the food and the big pots.
Yeah,
I got to do that at some friends' homes, and I loved it.
Yeah, it's kind of comforting to me before every show I have, not before every show, but I try to have a tomato sauce with just some pasta before a show.
Sauce.
Yeah, I do. It's easy. I got it in the cookbook. I brought you one.
Oh, thank you. The man
You're
that I'm
welcome.
seeing, his dad is Sicilian, Italian, and his mom was Jewish. They were big time in Hollywood music on all the MGM soundtracks, all that stuff. Grew up with Steve Allen across the street, all that stuff.
Great.
So there's great stories and lineage. Anyway, so he's half Italian and half Jewish, which is hilarious to me. Hilarious. But he's always making a sauce.
Right.
Or he's going, oi, my back. And I'm like, okay, there's the Italian.
Right.
There's the Jewish.
Right. All right. Well, thank you very much, Deanna.
Thank you. This has been great.
Well, there you go. That was my conversation with Deanna Bogart. She's a very talented young lady indeed. If you want to check her out, go to her website or Google her name. It's spelled Deanna Bogart, DeannaBogart, Deanna Bogart. We need to do a couple of gigs together, Deanna and I. Yeah. Johnny Cole, the Slim Man drummer from Baltimore, Maryland, he used to play with Deanna for quite a while. And it was Johnny that told me about Deanna. And hopefully we'll all be playing together in the future somewhere, some way, someday. Speaking of Johnny Cole, the drummer dude, I'm going to play a track from the Slim Man Band. Johnny's our drummer. This is a live track that almost made it to the Slim Man live CD. As a matter of fact, I think it was the last song to be trimmed from the live CD. And I would have included it except... You see, there are fireworks in the beginning of the song. I mean, there were literally fireworks in the beginning of this song that I'm going to play for you right now. We were playing at an outdoor venue a couple 100 yards from a minor league baseball team stadium, and after the game they set off fireworks. And you can hear them on this live recording. Now, if you know the story, you'll understand why there are really loud bangs and pops during the intro. But without an explanation, if you're just listening to the CD, it sounds like there's some kind of technical problem with the sound. So I left this off of the Slim Man Live CD, but here's the whole story. Settle in, Slim people. Now, we've been playing in Modesto for years. When the very first Slim Man CD came out, the radio station there, I think they were called KRVR The River. They were playing a bunch of Slim Man songs, and they recommended that I reach out to John Griswold, a promoter who booked shows in and around Modesto. Now, I'd never even heard of Modesto before, never been there before. So we set up a show at a place called the State Theater, or the State Theater, like we say in Balmer. It was one of those old grand movie theaters from the 1940s, kind of Art Deco, and the Slim Man band did a show there, and it was jam-packed. And after the show, a woman came up to me and told me that her husband was a percussionist. I saw a little gleam in her eye, and I told her to tell her husband to meet us in Sacramento the next day for a gig at the State Fair with guitar player Craig Chaquiso. He used to play with Jefferson Starship. Anyway, the next day, a VW bus drove up and a big Mexican man jumped out. He had 2 big paper bags in his hand, and he said, "My name is Mambo. Is anybody hungry?" So we went inside the little trailer dressing room kind of place, and Mambo broke out some huge bean burritos the size of a football. He told us that he made them himself, and we ate and went out and did the show. And you know, for never playing with us, Mambo sounded great. Now, eating a huge bean burrito the size of a football wasn't a great food choice before a big show. I mean, there was enough gas on that stage to get us to Kansas City the next day. But the burritos were great, and Mambo was great, and he's been in the Slim Man band ever since. And I'm great friends with Mambo and his family to this day. I'm also still friends with John Griswold, the promoter dude. As a matter of fact, I got a lot of friends in Modesto. The guy and gal who recorded the Slim Man Live CD in Modesto, they are the best live sound engineers I've ever worked with. They're a husband and wife team, Paul and Leslie Doty, which brings me to this song I'm about to play for you, Slim people. A couple years ago, John Griswold invited us to play at an outdoor venue. It was called the SOS. I think it stood for like Sportsmen of Stanislaus. Anyway, they had a huge lawn out by the tennis courts, and that's where we played. They had a big stage set up, lights, sound, everything. Paul and Leslie did the sound, and Mambo Hernandez was playing percussion. And the band was on fire that night. We'd been playing together for years, and we were at the point where I could just call off songs and we just let her rip. The band was really in tune with each other. And that night, towards the end of the show in Modesto, I heard the fireworks start from the stadium a few hundred yards away. Now, the Modesto Nuts, the minor league baseball team, which is a great name, by the way. I mean, I've gone to a few of their games, and they have a mascot dressed up like Mr. Peanut, and he used to encourage the crowd, "Let's go nuts! Let's go nuts!" Anyway, that night we were in between songs, and the fireworks started blasting, and I looked at the band and told them to do the Star-Spangled Banner, you know, bombs bursting in air. So George Hazelrig, one of the most talented piano players you will ever hear, and Kevin Levi, a guy who plays sax with, well, he's kind of courageous and bold, and these two guys start playing the national anthem, and I gotta tell you, it still gives me goosebumps. And Paul and Leslie got it all on tape, fireworks and all. After the anthem, I told the Slim Man Band to do Night Like This, that stellar and scintillating song from the Slim Man Jazzified CD, and we did an extended version, impromptu, off the tops of our heads, and I really like the way it turned out. It's live, so it has some bumps and lumps, but check it out. Johnny Cole on drums, Mambo Hernandez on percussion, George Hazelrig on piano, Kevin Levi on sax, Chalky, that's our nickname for Kevin Levi. Chalky does this thing during his solo. He does this circular breathing thing where he plays for a couple of minutes without taking a breath. Check it out. All right, I've talked enough. Here it is, the Star-Spangled banner complete with fireworks, followed by Night Like This. to love possibility. Love is ours, the best is yet to be. All the night, nights so light, not so long ago you caught my eye. All the love you find.